What's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of Indie Showcase. I got another shmup for you all today. Yes, indeed. If you've been around this channel for a while, you know I love shmups. I'm not very good at them, but I have a cripplingly huge shmup collection on the PC and in other places, and I just love this genre. I love a good score attack experience of any kind recently. So this one's actually been out for a few months now, but I only just recently found out about it, and I was offered a code for it, so I wanted to check it out. It's been a generally pretty pleasant surprise, actually. So this is called Demonizer. It's only out on the PC. It's on Steam and on itch.io, I believe, as well. And it's a single-person developed game, and I always find those interesting. So this is developed by somebody named, I believe it's Iori Branford. I apologize if I mispronounced that. But this is interesting. It's a bullet hell shmup, to be sure, and it has some very unique ideas to it. It's also lacking a few things that I wish it wasn't, but I've overall been enjoying it a fair bit. So it's on Steam here. It's $12 US, and you're going to see here that even though I've only played about 65 minutes of it, I have a pretty good impression of it so far. Like most shmups, this doesn't have a crazy amount of base content in it, but it's a game that's designed to be played, you know, over and over again as you play it at higher difficulties and master it and things like that. So here we are right here. So you're going to see it is a vertical shmup. That is its preferred orientation, but it was designed with the things in mind that a lot of fans of those kinds of games on the PC would like. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the options menu here, but there actually is quite a number of options to this game, and one of the biggest ones that always makes people ask in situations like this is, can you rotate it if you have a vertical monitor? Yes, you can. So you can actually rotate it the whole way around if you like. So very nice to see. Amazingly, not every vertical shmup on the PC does this, so this is a very good thing to see. You can play it with a keyboard or a controller. I'm playing it with a controller, as I usually do. You can remap the buttons. Very, very nice. It has some picture settings. There isn't a direct resolution setting because this is sort of a pixel art game, but that's okay. There's also multiple difficulty modes, and you can turn on and off the story dialogue. This game does have a story. Some people are really into shmup stories. I get it. I'm not. I find most of them just kind of throwaway. And this one gives you the option to skip it if you want, though the dialogue it's not heavy. The dialogue's actually pretty light in this, so it's not so bad. So, as you can see here, you've got 7 stages. There's 3 difficulty levels. You can play it normal, hard, or demonic. And while this game starts off pretty easy on normal, and then it ramps, believe me. And I tried a level on demonic and got absolutely smoked. So yeah. So I'll do the tutorial here really quick because it's very, very fast and it'll give you an idea of what's happening here. And this is where this game really, really shines, I think. So the way it works is you put enemies to sleep. Yeah. And by picking up the hearts that they drop, you not only get points, but you raise your power level up. And this is how you get more powerful attacks and abilities. And some enemies, as you'll see like this, will drop red hearts. You pick those up, you get the equivalent of what was often called an option in older games. So it's basically little helpers here. And these helpers will go out and will provide you not only extra firepower, but they will often also go out and collect these hearts for you so you don't have to go out and get them. Which is really nice. Having a lot of these makes things quite a bit different. You also have bombs here, which just do a lot of damage to enemies. The interesting thing about this is bombs recharge over time. You can carry up to a maximum of 3 of them, but they just recharge over time. You don't earn them in particular from scores or anything like that. But like most shmups as well, this does have a scoring system that rewards you using your powers or extra abilities a minimum number of times if you can. So there's also 2 different fire modes. There's this mode here, which is the sort of general sort of wide fire mode, which is kind of cool in the sense that you can actually change the repeat rate of this too. So if you really want to sit here and mash the button yourself, you can, which is kind of cool. Or if you have your own joystick, maybe with its own turbo mode or whatever, you can adjust the auto fire, which I like. And then there's this focus mode, which will draw a hitbox around the enemy. You can also change how that works. And the focus mode gives you a much narrower field of fire, but it is much more rapid. So if you have a higher end target that you really want to take out and you really want to put as much fire on that one target as you can as opposed to all the ones around it, that's how you do that. One of the interesting things about this is if you look in the upper right corner there, you're going to see that any enemy that takes more than a single hit to take out actually has a life bar. This kind of reminds me of the old brawlers from the early 90s, where it would actually show individual enemies' health on screen, and it was really good because it allowed you to prioritize how you wanted to approach things. So here's some story stuff. So you can press X to advance it, or you can press start to skip it, even if you don't have it disabled in the options. Really, really cool. So like most shmups of the sort of 16-bit era that this is emulating, the stages are relatively short, and some of them have a mid-boss, some of them just have the end boss. But don't be put off by that or the number of stages, because this game does get very, very challenging. I actually have not beaten the final stage yet. I haven't managed to pull it off. And there are additional difficulty modes, and there's a couple of bonus modes as well. I've only unlocked one of them. There's also 2 characters in this as well. So, but you see here, I took out the boss, and I got because I lost none of the friends, I lost none of the teams, anything like that, I get extra points. There are sort of friendlies in this, basically prisoners that you can rescue, and if you get all of those, you get a bonus as well, both for rescuing them and for getting all of them. And your friends here can die as well, so you wanna try to save them as well if you can here. And obviously you're trying to max out your score as best you can, and you can see there at the top that if you hit certain targets, you get extra lives. These targets get higher and more difficult the longer you go on in a single continue. When you die, you can either restart a level entirely or restart from a checkpoint if it is a level that has a checkpoint, but you will lose your score in that case as well. And so that's all fairly, sounds like fairly standard stuff. And a couple of things, unfortunately, that this game is lacking that are fairly traditional in a lot of shmups. It has no 2-player mode. That would have been cool, though. I mean, I'll be honest, I play most shmups on my own anyway. It's not a big deal for me, but for some people it is. Being a 16-bit art style, a lot of people out there are big on things like scan lines and that. I don't particularly care, but I know some people do. So you see those 2 people there, you were actually only able to take out by using a bomb, so that's what I did. And so it's missing that. This game does have leaderboards in it, but they're offline only. And I know, especially for tiny devs, the costs and service costs and whatnot of running online leaderboards can be a little bit of a thing. But if I recall correctly, I could be wrong about that, but I thought Steamworks had that functionality built in for free. So I'm not so sure about that. But online leaderboards are something that is kind of standard in most shmups these days, even a lot of indie-made shmups, because these games ultimately are really about the competitive aspect of the score attack. And while there are, website methods using screenshots and things like that to compare high score, I really would have liked to have seen online leaderboards in this. I don't believe this game is using any Steamworks integration at all because it also doesn't have achievements, which is also pretty standard in most Steam games that aren't in early access. I would love to see the developer maybe get an opportunity. Maybe they just weren't familiar with Steamworks or whatnot, and that's fine. You don't have to have those things for it to be a good game, obviously, but those are little things I would really love to see added. Online leaderboards and achievements for sure. And online leaderboards have their own challenges as well with, cheaters and things like that too, so maybe they just didn't want to do that, and again, that's fine. It's just it's a thing you come to expect a lot with shmups on the PC these days. But what I do like about this game that I think varies it is well made. The enemies are well designed and well balanced, I think, for the most part. The bullet patterns later, especially in the later levels of this, like, it looks like I'm kind of chewing through this, but believe me, this does ramp up fairly quickly. The bullet patterns and things like that do get very interesting and very challenging, so I do like that. I, by and large, like this 16-bit aesthetic. The characters in, like, the cutscenes where they're sort of full size, not so big on those, but there aren't a ton of those. I think the sort of smaller graphics, the smaller characters and whatnot that are in the actual gameplay like this look pretty good. This game also has an excellent Yamaha synth-sounding, like a Genesis Mega Drive style soundtrack that I think is actually really, really good. And yeah, that's all of those production values are really good, especially for a first effort title by a new developer. So I think that's really cool. And I do like the core mechanics of this. I like the idea of these little sort of additional characters that you can pick up. I like the focus fire idea. I like the fact that rather than just picking up static pickups in order to power up your weapons, that you have to sort of level it up. I think that's pretty cool. Having additional weapons might have been interesting. There is a second character in this that I haven't had a chance to play yet because I haven't unlocked it. I assume that requires beating the base campaign, which I still have not been able to. I spent quite a while on the last level, and it's been kind of smoking me. So this also tends to have the problem that games like R-Type have that can really frustrate me, which is that in a situation like we were in right there, you know, where I had a ton of power-ups, I had a ton of these little side characters and everything else, and you're just kind of stomping through things, right? But when you die, you lose some of that power-up, and in particular, if you end up failing out of a level and you have to restart it, you come back with nothing. And the thing that really bugs me about games like R-Type, which are still classic shmups, don't get me wrong, is that if you lose that momentum, you start at a significant disadvantage. And at the end of the day, you're probably going to want to start back either at the very beginning of the game or at least a level or two back into the easier levels so that you can power yourself back up again. Because all of a sudden, if you don't manage to keep yourself alive past the point where you're kind of smoking everything like I am here, you're going to end up kind of screwed. Because you're just not going to have all the power that you really need, and you're going to find things much, much, much more challenging. And that, to be honest, is what keeps happening to me in the last level. I can't get through it, and then if I don't want to have to replay the entire game, I have to start that level and restart at that level with no power-ups and no additional helper units, and I get smoked. And that's a little bit frustrating. A lot of shmups work like that. I'm not going to say that that's bad design, because I think the developer was following a very common convention in shmups. Indeed, trying to get that perfect run is kind of a thing most shmup players strive for. You know, trying to get that perfect, that 1cc clear, if you will. And I get that. But it is something to consider as well, which is that this is a game that is, you know, may start out easy, but it is eventually going to get very difficult, and it's going to demand a certain level of high-end play from you in order to... I'm actually doing incredibly well here compared to some of my previous runs. It took me quite a while to get past this level the first time. It's going to demand a certain level of high-level play, and not quite perfection, but definitely a higher level than you're able to build up to early on in order to get through it. And that might be a bit of a turnoff for some people, but honestly, if you're a shmup player, that's something you should be kind of used to for the most part, you know. But I do think that this is, you know, it's not the level of redonkulous bullet hell that some games can be, like a lot of, say, the cave shmups or something like that. It's nothing that ridiculous. But it's very challenging, to be sure. So you see here, I kind of lost my momentum, and there we go. So I can either restart at the checkpoint, restart the whole level. You can change your difficulty on the fly if you like, or I can restart. But you see, now that I've restarted here, you can see I'm at a disadvantage because I have no power built up, so my guns are weaker, and I don't have any helper things, but it's the same number of enemies doing the same kind of attacks. So if you're careful about how you do this, then you can get some of this built up reasonably quick, but it's not always that easy. And that's going to become a point of frustration. But, again, because this is not a super long game in terms of just its base content, if you did have to restart until you could hold your run together longer, it's not like it's going to take you hours to get back to where you were, right? So that's not so bad. But yeah, I do like some of the gameplay mechanics that this has going for it. You know, the developer claims on their website that this is a story that kind of does have a point to it and a bit of a morality to it. A lot of shmups claim that. I don't know. I've never managed to take much of anything from shmup stories. But you may be different, and if so, this definitely does have one of those. And I mean, I'll tell you, there are some popular shmups on Steam. Like, I played one of the Castle of Shikigami games late last year when it was on sale. And I do not understand why people enjoy that particular game. I thought it was awful. I thought the graphics were bad. I thought it was badly balanced. I thought the scoring system was poor. I really didn't enjoy it. And, you know, but that one's fairly popular and had a lot of good reviews. This game, honestly, as a single-person developed title in the bullet hell genre, which is not an easy thing to design for, who put out something like this, honestly, I've had more fun with this so far than with a lot of the more popular shmups on Steam. You can do a lot worse than this, because there are a lot of shmups on Steam that are made by people who really don't understand what they're doing, or who are very, you know, very short, small, new rookie devs who think that a shmup is an easy thing to crank out quickly. That are really, really bad, and there are a lot of very good, high quality, popular shmups on Steam, but there's also a lot of stuff that, you know, is either extremely niche appeal or just frankly not that great, that is made by a larger number of people and often costs a lot more too. Shmups on Steam run the gamut in terms of pricing. Some of them are very reasonable, some of them you're just kind of like, really? Holy jeez. This is, you know, this is, for a game of its size, it's in line with a lot of other shmups. Some people might think, wow, a short 7-level game for, you know, $12, that seems like a lot. It's not really when you compare it against some of its competition on the platform. I think it's actually pretty reasonably priced, taken into account. And as you can see, even on the normal difficulty, this gets hard pretty quick. There's no easy mode in this. The lowest difficulty is normal, and there are higher difficulty levels. There are higher, you know, there are bigger modes, or alternative modes in this. And of course, there's always that score chase and going after that perfect run. So I think there's actually a lot you could get out of this. I'm going to show you really quick here this other weird mode that's in it, which is just this single level thing called Inebriator. You're basically playing a game where you're kind of like drunk, so it has to play this weird thing. It plays with this weird like motion blur effect, and you're shooting, like, you're knocking out drunk people and you're apparently shooting wine at them. I don't know what this is. It's very strange. But, you know, it's another little thing that's thrown into the game because why not? You know, it's extra content for you to muck with, so, you know, why not, right? So as you can see, you know, everything that's getting thrown around are more traditional shmup power-ups, are the kind that, like, fly down the screen, but they're like wine glasses and stuff. Yeah, I don't get it either, but it's, you know, why not? It's fun, right? And there's another mode in there that's still locked, probably because I haven't beaten the game yet, but I think this is good, actually. I'm gonna put some time into it and actually get good at it. And as you can see here, the power level is up, but now I'm even more drunk, so I was flying really slow, and my gun is all wavy, and basically the more powerful you get, the harder it is to play. I've got, like, wicked input lag right now because I was so super drunk. It's strange. I don't think you actually have lives here. I think your goal is just to get through it with the biggest score you can. Oh, no, you do have lives. So, there you go. Yeah, I know, it's a little strange. But, honestly, I've had fun with this, and it's been a pleasant surprise. You know, I was kind of like, I don't know, is this going to be, you know, is this going to be any good, or is it going to be a little sort of shovelware, I guess? And it's definitely not that. It's better than a decent chunk of, not a decent chunk, but it's better than a lot of shmups that I have played on Steam. And it's an impressive effort for a single developer. I just wish it did have some of those modern accoutrements, if you will, that we're used to out of modern shmups. Like I said, like online leaderboards, like two-player mode, achievements would be nice, things like that, but those are little things. In terms of the core game itself, I think there's something pretty cool here that brings some interesting ideas to the table. So, and I always like to be able to say good things about an individual, you know, a game made by an individual. So kudos to this developer. I think they did a pretty good job, though. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of this cover art on your Steam page. You might want to change that a little bit. I don't know. That's just me, though. So, yeah, that's Demonizer, published and developed by Iori Branford. Again, I apologize if I screwed up your name. It is on Steam. It's also on itch.io. It's $12 US. You know, this is a game that would be good on things like the Switch or even mobile devices, actually. You know, it'd be nice it'd be a good game for that sort of, that portable experience, I guess. And yeah, if you're someone like me who's really into this genre, you know, there are a lot of hidden gem shmups on Steam that come out from time to time that a lot of people haven't seen, and that kind of make a surprising impression. And this is definitely one of those. It's something I plan to put some time into, and if you like the genre, you might as well. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you did like what you saw here, please smash that subscribe button and the bell and the thumbs up and all that jazz to help the video break through, you know, the algorithm barriers. And leave a comment as well if you would. Take, you know, what do you think of this? Is this something that would interest you? What are some other hidden gem shmups on Steam that you might, that I haven't talked about that you think more people should know about? Because I'm always looking to feed my crippling shmup addiction. So please, if you have any other ideas out there, toss them my way in the comments. I would love to know about those. So thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all on the next episode of Indie Showcase. You folks have yourselves a good one. Take it easy, everybody.